just got done editing this interview. You guys are going to love it. Before I do that, though, I want you to know that I'm going to be in the comments for the next 30 minutes or so answering your questions. If there's additional questions you want me to ask the CEO next time I interview them, leave them below. Or if you're just loving the data points I get CEOs to share, click the thumbs up button below. That's your way of telling me you're loving this stuff, and I'll get you more of it. Additionally, again, I'll be in the comments answering any questions you have. All right, for 30 minutes. Enjoy the interview. Hello, everyone. My guest today is Karl Groves. He's the founder of a company called Tenon.io. Their web accessibility testing has a platform. They're testing after the fact. They seek to solve that. Tenon is a one-of-a-kind accessibility testing tool that is aimed at offering unprecedented flexibility and tooling for designers, developers, testers, and content authors. Karl, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, let's do it.
So what category do I put this in? I mean, is this like kind of a rainforest QA kind of concept, or is it different?
So the idea is basically to do specialized testing, especially functional testing, in a way that can be added to other QA platforms and things like that. Things like Cypress, things like Selenium testing, automated test and build scenarios like Jenkins, Bamboo, Travis, all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so who's buying this though? Is it the designer, the developer?
Well, in our case, because we're the first SaaS platform to do this, we do have a variety of customers, from small design agencies to small and mid-sized companies to even massive companies that are in the enterprise software space. Okay.
Can you give me a general sense? What's the average customer going to pay you per month to use your technology?
So we have SaaS plans that range from $90 a month to a couple $100 a month. So we do try to target people for whatever their needs are. High volume customers, they're going to pay about $8,000 a year for the SaaS plans, up to, for enterprise sales, $36,000 a year for the license, plus fees for hosting and stuff like that.
Okay. When you look at though just the SaaS component of your business, what do you think a fair average is for an annual contract value? Are we talking like $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000?
No, for annual, we're talking somewhere in that $4,000 to $8,000 a year range.
Okay, got it. So 4,000 divided by 12, that's like, call it $300-$400 a month, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That one, I think that mid-tier plan is like $450 or something like that.
Okay. And so when you say that people pay more based off volume, what do you define volume as? Help me understand the usage metrics.
Right. So we charge, the fee that we charge is basically for the API calls that run the testing. All the other stuff, platform access, reporting data, archival access, all that sort of stuff is free, even the add-ons. So we are charging per API call. So that would be a request for us to test a web page or even part of a page in those cases.
And can you give me a sense of scale? So last month, how many total API calls through your platform altogether?
Well, a couple 100,000.
Okay.
Of API calls per month usually.
Okay. Well, I mean, how do you get up to 10 million, 100 million API calls per month?
So those would be platform providers and stuff like that. So, for instance, one of our customers is a company called Hannon Hill. Hannon Hill has a content management system, massive amounts of customers. And so what they do is they literally test every single page every single day. And those calls we're talking about several 100,000 a month just for that one customer. Mm-hmm. So the idea being really in terms of scaling for a customer and of course scaling and business wise for us, it would be to have more of those customers who automate their builds, automate their QA with like nightly runs for everything, or spidering their entire sites, especially if they have a lot of content.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so you mentioned Hannon Hill. That's one customer. How many customers are you serving now today?
So we have 10,000 users on the platform today. A lot of our revenue comes from enterprise sales. So those are going to be, so we have about 110 paying customers right now.
Yep, that's great. And put it on a timeline for me. When did you launch the company?
2014.
Okay, 2014. That's good. And do you remember how much money you spent building the code before you had your first dollar of revenue?
I don't, and here's why. Because I'm not only a founder, but I'm also a technologist. So a lot of the code that went into this was really code that I've been playing around for a long time, and eventually I said, you know what, I should turn this into a product. So many hundreds of hours that I have no way to account for right now when we went to the paid model.
Well, let me ask you a different question. When did you write your first line of code?
That would be 2012 or so.
Okay, and when did you have your first dollar of revenue?
2014.
Okay, so about
2015, yeah.
2 years of kind of tinkering, coding, developing. Yeah. Now today, have you bootstrapped the company, or did you decide to raise capital?
100% bootstrapped. Every single piece of money that we make goes right back in, and we're a cash positive business.
That's great. What's the team size look like today? How many people?
14.
14 folks.
People.
That's good. How many engineers?
About 5.
5. Okay, and what are the rest?
So we also offer services around the product. So it's almost like one of the things that we end up seeing is customers say, your tool found a whole bunch of problems. We don't know how to fix them. And so we have services around consulting, training, and even development services for those customers who need that help.
Okay. If you looked at, though, just last month on a pure SaaS basis, how much revenue would you attribute to just your SaaS business model last month?
Probably, we're almost at a 50-50 split. It depends on it, especially with the SaaS kind of stuff. The SaaS is not as revenue generating as the enterprise sales are. So I would say all in, we're probably about 50-50, maybe a little bit closer to 60 on the product side.
Okay. And was total last month something around $30,000? So about 15 grand, and that was maybe SaaS and the other 15 services?
Well, total was a lot more than that. But yeah, so I would say that we're talking about, like I said, about 50 to 60% being product.
Yeah, well, the percentages are great, but 50% of $1 is way different than 50% of 10 million a month. So I'm trying to understand the math I'm doing there. As you mentioned,
so we're talking more along the lines of 100 to 150,000.
Okay, got it. So so you're saying 50% of that, so about $50,000 per month, you're saying is coming in from just the pure SaaS business.
Yeah,
that's okay. Good, that's healthy. So 110 customers at $300 a month is only $33,000 a month in terms of SaaS. So it sounds like your price point, your average price point, is probably higher than $300 per month.
Yes, absolutely. Because, like I said, because of some of the higher purchases, the higher usage purchases, the balance actually ends up going towards those higher price points for the specific plan.
So just to be clear, if your last month you're talking 100 grand in revenue, and you said 50-50 split between SaaS and professional services, that would mean you've got, again, 110 customers paying more like an average of $500 a month for $55,000 a month in SaaS revenue. Does that sound better?
Yeah,
that's good. Where are you getting these customers from?
So a lot of it is word of mouth. A large amount of it is word of mouth at this point. For years before I founded the company, I was a recognized thought leader in the field. So a lot of that comes from reputation, not just for me, but also that initial attention to the product because of my reputation helped sort of push that snowball down.
How'd you build that reputation, though? Was it inside another company, or how'd you do it?
Blogging and speaking appearances, really. So I've put out a couple hundred blog posts on the topic. I've spoken on about 4 continents on the topic.
What's like your keynote title? If I see you speaking at a conference, what's your keynote likely to be called?
Everything we know, which is a breakdown of a lot of the data that we've gathered through, at this point, millions of API calls and the assessment of that data. I break that down to show what the common problems are that people have, that people commit, and the patterns that we see based on certain platforms and things like that.
Okay. And how'd you get your first customer? Do you remember?
My first, well, we went into a private beta phase where we had just a handful of people using it. We went into and then there was an open beta phase. We let anybody play with it. And then there's a large conference in our industry called CSUN. California State University Northridge has a conference on disabilities. And we went live the day, the first day that conference opened back in 2015. That's when we went live for paying customers, and literally started having signups as soon as the mailing list.
Spell the name of that conference. SE.
CSUN.
SECSUN.
No, it's CSUN. CSUN. California State University.
Oh. Got it. Just CSUN. Okay, good. So CSUN conference, you spoke there, you went live. So how did you convert audience members to get on your list and actually convert into paid plans?
Well, the cool thing about that is because during that beta period that we had a large mailing list get built up ahead of time.
How large?
So we had about 1,000 people on the mailing list before we even had the open beta. So we had a large mailing list built up ahead of time. We did have a free demo page. It was just a single page thing. You go there, you demo the product, you see whether it does what it's supposed to do. And then from there, we had a mailing list sign up. Just said, hey, sign up for our mailing list if you like what you saw. And so in advance of the conference, then we put out a big blast. I have several thousand Twitter followers. So we had my Twitter feed was filled with the announcements, all that sort of stuff. The mailing list went out, and we just had started paying SaaS customers right there within an hour of the announcement.
And do these folks stick? What's your churn over the past 12 months?
Churn's been kind of high because of we've made a shift to the pricing model. We had a very, very tiny plan that has been sunsetted. So a lot of those people churned out.
How much was that tiny plan?
$9 a month.
Okay.
We called it the micro plan. Those people churned out when we raised all the prices. So churn was pretty bad over the last 12 months. However, a vast majority of those early customers are still with us today.
Yeah, well, but Karl, just to be clear, so your logo churn might have been bad because you were churning low-priced logos, but your revenue churn should have been hopefully healthier, right? What was your revenue churn over the past 12 months?
I don't have that number ahead of me, but you're exactly right. With the change of the pricing, we didn't actually lose any money.
Yeah. Well, so do you know can you say maybe churn is definitely less than X? What do you think it's definitely better than?
I just have no idea of that.
Isn't that like a critical metric in SaaS? I mean, you have to know that number, or at least a range.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we pay more attention to overall revenue and lifetime value and stuff like that instead of the.
Okay, well, what do you put lifetime value at then?
Look.
And tell me how you calculate. It sounds like you're looking at something. I'd love to learn how you calculate this.
I'm just getting it from Stripe.
Okay.
So the Stripe data has been really great for us. The Stripe data is immensely useful. We've been with them for a long time.
That's great. Have you used any of their debt products? I know they're trying to get into Stripe credit card and Stripe merchant advances and.
Yeah, we did that. We did. So we did do a Stripe advance, and that was extremely convenient for us. We did a Stripe advance because I wanted to pay down some credit card debt, and the rate that they gave was way better than the credit card.
What was the rate? So how much did you take from them, and what it cost you?
I took 15, and I paid it off so long ago I don't remember what it was.
You took $15,000.
Yeah. Took that, just transfer. And what's convenient about it is it just comes out of the money that they would otherwise be sending you. So.
Yep. So what do you think lifetime value is at?
That is not. I'm having a hard time finding that.
That's okay. I mean, I guess the reason I'm asking this is because ultimately this impacts everything else in your business. In other words, if you churn all your customers every month, then you have to hustle every month to get a bunch of new customers, and you end up on this wheel that never ends.
No. Yeah, you're right. It is. That's one of the things you have to pay closest attention to is making sure that you're in touch with people, that they have an avenue to communicate with you, that to communicate any concerns they have, any problems they have with the product or something like that, to keep them from churning, especially in this industry, because accessibility is the kind of thing that people spend a brief period of time on, right?
Yeah, but Karl, to your point though, this is really important, but you don't know what the number is. So how do you know if you're doing good or not good?
Because you're putting me on the spot, really. I just don't have access to the data that you're asking me about, and I guess I should have had that in front of me.
Well, no, it's okay. I mean, but most people, right behind revenue, churn is maybe the second most critical SaaS metric to building a SaaS company. So usually, most folks generally know, hey, we have less than 10% revenue churn annually, or it's less than 50% or something like that. When I asked you for a range, you said you really have no idea.
Yeah. And part of that is because we don't pay as much attention to those metrics as we do for other things. I'll give you a great example, right? So the top SaaS plan is $8,250 a year, right?
8,250?
Yes, per year. However, the starting point for our enterprise sales is $36,000. So obviously winning those deals, getting that money in the door is going to be a lot more critical for us than selling SaaS stuff. The SaaS is obviously a focus. We're the very first SaaS company to do what we do, but money wise, one one sale of an enterprise install is far more money.
Yeah, but not maybe in the short term. But you have to go make those
'cause
one-time.
those are-
You have to go make those one-time sales every single month. The churn stuff, the SaaS stuff should stick. That's the point of a SaaS business model. Revenue compounds over time.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, every single one of our enterprise customers are still with us. Some of them have been with us since 2015.
Okay, I mean, so that's a good back of the napkin metric in terms of churn, right? Now, do you have any salespeople?
Yes, we have 2 salespeople.
Quota carrying?
Yes.
Okay. So when you look at, I mean, do you have payback data? In other words, if you're going to go sign up a customer at $500 a month, do you know what it costs you to get that customer fully weighted?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I mean, do you have a typical salesperson kind of comp plan where there's kind of 30-40% commission plus some base?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your biggest cost, you would say, are as a salesperson commission. You're not doing a lot of paid ads or Facebook ads or travel or stuff?
We do highly targeted ads on LinkedIn. That's usually, and then a lot of the other stuff is cold outreach. We do have we do have a sales assistant who does cold outreach, tries to bring in some interest from people who we've identified as key targets.
What are we talking about per month? Are you talking like 5,000 in paid spend a month, 10,000 in paid spend a month?
Right now we're talking about 2,000.
Okay, good. Okay, so fairly small, 2% of your total revenue.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, and help me understand growth. So if you're doing, call it $50,000 a month today on the SaaS platform, what were you doing exactly a year ago? Do you remember?
We were doing, I have overall numbers for the company itself.
What was that exactly a year ago? Do you remember?
That was our income, our revenue last year was 780,000.
And what do you think you'll hit this year?
No, we're already past 2 million.
That's great. Okay, so maybe 3x year-over-year growth. That's pretty darn healthy.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Congrats. Yeah. All right, Karl, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book. Okay, let's skip that one.
You said skip that one? Okay, number 2. Is there a CEO you're following or studying?
No.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your company?
We have just switched everything over to HubSpot. We had previously had a pile of other tools here and there, and we switched all to HubSpot.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
8.
Okay, and what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, 2 kids.
2 kiddos. Okay, and how old are you?
I am 46.
Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
What do I wish my 20-year-old self knew? So keep in mind, my 20-year-old self, there was no such thing as any of this stuff, the internet, the SaaS, all that sort of stuff. And I wish I had known to latch into the technology earlier than I did. I was going down an entirely different path at that time, and I think being earlier in the technology would have been a big benefit.
Guys, there you have it. Tenon, helping folks with accessibility testing, training, and tooling. They'll do over $2 million in revenue this year across 110 customers, paying anywhere between $500 up to call it $3,000, $4,000 per month. 14 people on the team, totally bootstrapped. 5 engineers, 2 sales reps as they look to continue to scale. Karl, thanks for taking us to the top.
All right, thanks.
These CEOs rarely give these kinds of interviews. I hit them hard, I get the data, and I want to do it more. So if you want to get more of this stuff, make sure you subscribe up here. And then additionally, go check out one of my other CEO interviews right now.